When Anna said, "We need space," she didn't sound angry. Angry I knew how to handle. Angry meant there was still heat left. This was different. She stood by the kitchen sink with her coat still on, one hand wrapped around her car keys so tightly the metal teeth pressed marks into her palm. There was a black duffel by the door I'd never seen before, packed neatly, like this had been thought through while I was still telling myself we were just having a rough month. I almost did what I always did. I almost started talking. I had the opening line ready. "Don't do this tonight. We're both tired. Let's sit down. Let's not make it bigger than it is." But the words stayed in my throat. Maybe it was the way she kept looking toward the hallway instead of at me. Maybe it was because the apartment had been full of that kind of silence for weeks, the kind that makes your own voice feel rude. So I asked, "How much space?" She blinked like she hadn't prepared for that question. "A few days," she said. "Maybe more. Are you staying with your sister?" She nodded once. That was it. No dramatic speech, no accusation, no plates breaking, no crying in the doorway. Just her, still wearing the scarf I bought her 3 winters ago, and me standing barefoot on a cold kitchen tile floor, trying to act like my chest wasn't folding in on itself. I picked up the duffel and handed it to her. She looked at me then, finally, and for a second I saw something that made me feel worse than if she'd hated me. Relief. We'd been together 8 years, married for 4. Before all this, we were the kind of couple people described as easy. We made each other laugh in grocery store lines. We sent each other dumb pictures during work. We had one of those tiny apartments where you could hear someone opening a yogurt from the other room, and somehow that used to feel intimate instead of cramped. Then last November we lost our son. I still hate how flat that sentence sounds. Like we set him down somewhere and forgot where. He was 5 months old. A fever, a night in the ER, machines, people speaking too calmly, and then a life that had been loud and sticky and exhausting just stopped. You'd think the mind would refuse to remember that clearly, but mine kept every useless detail. The blue curtain around the bed, the coffee stain on my sleeve, Anna's mouth open but no sound coming out. After the funeral, everybody went back to their lives in the normal, awful way people have to. Meals stopped arriving. Messages slowed down. My boss asked if I wanted to work from home for a little while, like grief had a coupon code and an expiration date. Anna went back to work first. I didn't. I said I needed more time, which was true, but time didn't do what I thought it would. It didn't soften anything. It just gave me longer stretches to stare at the nursery with the door cracked open. That room became the center of everything without either of us saying it. I told myself I was preserving it because I wasn't ready. His sleep sack still folded in the bottom drawer. The giraffe lamp, the stack of tiny books people had given us before he was born. Anna asked once, very gently, if we should box some things up. Not donate them, not throw them away. Just put them somewhere else. I said, not yet. A week later, she asked if we could at least keep the door shut. It's just a door, I told her. She looked at me for a long time and said, exactly. At the time, I thought she was being cold. That became my private story about her. She was returning to work, taking longer drives home, showering as soon as she walked in, sleeping on the very edge of the bed. Meanwhile, I was the one still standing in the wreckage. I thought that made me the one who cared more. Looking back, that idea embarrasses me. A month before she left, I started noticing small things that didn't fit. She'd take phone calls on the balcony, even when it was freezing outside. She'd delete messages after reading them. Once, I saw a charge on our joint account for a storage unit across town, and when I asked about it, she said, "I'll explain later," then never did. Another time she came home almost 2 hours late from work. Sat in the car downstairs for so long, I watched the headlights wash over the parking lot wall from our bedroom. I was so sure there was something she wasn't telling me. I'd just picked the wrong thing. I asked her one night, "Is there someone else?" She laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Just disbelief. "Do you really think that's what this is? I think you don't talk to me anymore." She pressed her fingers to her eyes and said, very quietly, "I can't keep talking in circles with you." That was the thing I didn't understand then. I thought arguing meant we were engaged, that pushing and insisting and forcing a conversation open was better than silence. Anna wasn't avoiding hard talks. She was tired of having the same one. Every version ended with me saying we just needed more time, and every version required her to keep living inside a home that had stopped feeling livable. The night she left, after the door closed behind her, I stood there for a long time. The apartment was so still I could hear the refrigerator humming. I wanted to call her back in. I wanted to demand something concrete. Are you leaving me? Is this temporary? Why didn't you say something earlier? But the ugly answer to that last question had already started to show itself. She had, not in one grand speech, in 100 smaller ways. She said it when she stopped sitting in the nursery doorway with me. She said it when she started taking the long route from the bedroom to the kitchen, so she didn't have to pass that room at night. She said it when she asked if we could move the rocking chair, when she stopped lighting the candle beside his framed hospital bracelet, when she started waking up at 3 in the morning and standing at the bathroom sink with both hands braced on the counter like she was trying not to disappear. I just kept translating all of it into a language that protected me. The next day, her sister Maya called. I expected anger. Instead, she sounded tired. She got there, Maya said. She's sleeping. I said, is she coming back? A pause. Do you want the honest answer? No, I said. And then, because I'd never sounded more pathetic in my life, yeah. Maya let out a breath. She doesn't know. That hit harder than I expected. Then she said something I still hear sometimes when the apartment gets too quiet. She's not leaving because she doesn't love you. She's leaving because she can't breathe in that place anymore. I sat down on the edge of the couch. So what, I'm just supposed to be okay with this? No, Maya said, but maybe stop acting confused. That should have made me angry. It didn't, because her voice had that tone people use when they are too exhausted to be cruel on purpose. She told you, I asked. She told you too, Maya said. You just only heard the parts that sounded like she was asking permission. I didn't say anything. Maya kept going. Those phone calls, grief counseling, the storage unit. She boxed up some of the baby stuff because she couldn't keep seeing it every day. The night she sat in the car downstairs, she was trying to calm herself down before coming upstairs. She was having panic attacks in the hallway. I looked toward the hall without meaning to. She didn't tell me that. She did once, Maya said. And you told her you were both just grieving differently. I remembered the conversation immediately. I remembered feeling proud of how calm I'd sounded. That evening, I opened the nursery door all the way for the first time in months. Nothing dramatic happened. No wave of music, no cinematic breakdown, just stale air and the soft smell of baby lotion that had somehow survived. The mobile above the crib hung crooked. One of the drawers was half open. Inside, under a stack of onesies, was a folded piece of paper. It wasn't a letter. It was a list in Anna's handwriting. Things I cannot keep seeing every day. The crib. The chair. His bottles drying by the sink. The monitors still plugged in. The socks in the laundry basket. You sleeping with his blanket. Under that, squeezed into the corner like she almost hadn't wanted to write it, was 6 more words. I miss him too. I'm drowning. That was the moment everything I'd been calling love showed its other side. I had turned our grief into a museum and asked her to live inside it with me. She came back 3 days later for more clothes. I heard her key in the lock and felt my whole body tense for the fight I assumed was coming. I had speeches ready again. Softer ones this time, but still speeches. Explanations. Defenses. Promises about therapy, about change, about how I got it now. She stepped inside, saw the stack of boxes by the wall, and stopped. The nursery door was closed. The rocking chair was gone. I rented a small storage unit, I said. I moved some things. She stared at me. By yourself? I nodded. There were shadows under her eyes I hadn't noticed before, or maybe I had and chosen not to. I should have listened sooner, I said. She set her bag down slowly, like sudden movements might break something. Why now? Because Maya yelled at me. Because I found your list. Because the apartment finally looked cruel through your eyes. Because I was tired of being the only victim in a room built for 3 people and occupied by 2 ghosts. What I said was, because you said you couldn't breathe, and I believed you. Her face changed then. Not into forgiveness. That would have been too easy, too neat, but some of the armor dropped. She sat at the kitchen table, and for the first time in months we talked without me trying to win. She told me she'd been terrified to leave because she thought it would confirm my worst fear, that we were falling apart. I told her I'd mistaken control for devotion. She cried once, briefly, wiping her face with the heel of her hand, like she was annoyed with herself for it. At one point she said, I needed you to miss him with me, not build a shrine and lock me inside it. I nodded because there was nothing to defend. We did therapy separately first, then together. Some weeks it felt useful. Some weeks it felt like paying someone to watch us bleed slowly but more honestly. Anna stayed with Maya for almost 2 months. I changed things in the apartment one piece at a time, not because I wanted to erase our son, but because keeping everything untouched had started to feel less like memory and more like fear. The last thing I packed was the giraffe lamp. When Anna came over that day, she stood in the nursery doorway for a long time. The room wasn't a nursery anymore. Fresh paint. Empty corner where the crib used to be. One memory box on the shelf. That was all. She touched the door frame and said, very softly, I can stand here now. I didn't know if that meant she was coming back. I didn't ask. A few weeks later, she did come home. Not in a movie way. No kissing in the rain, no dramatic reunion. She brought 2 grocery bags, a laptop, and the plant she'd taken to Maya's because she said she could only keep one thing alive at a time. The first night back, she slept badly. So did I. Healing turned out to be a lot less elegant than people make it sound. But sometimes, in the middle of ordinary things, I notice what changed. Now when she goes quiet, I don't rush to fill the silence just because it scares me. When she says, I can't do this conversation right now, I don't hear rejection. I hear information. We still talk about our son. We say his name. We keep one photo of him in the living room, not hidden, not worshipped, just present, human, ours. The strangest part is that the night she said we needed space, I thought that was the beginning of the end. It wasn't. It was the first time I stopped treating love like something I could hold together by force. And honestly, that was the first useful thing I'd done in a very long time.